It's time for the one and only, the premier, the only official podcast of Pro Rodeo. Your Chute bosses are ready, so let's give it a go and talk some rodeo.
Welcome into another special episode of the Chute Bosses, the official podcast of Pro Rodeo. It's Tanner Barth, Tracy Rink here once again inside the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas as we get prepared for another round of the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, Tracy, and a good round number 3, and a lot of standout performances. The one we're going to start off with and today is going to receive my Pro Rodeo prop. We're going to the man, the myth, the legend, the world's #1 man, Riley Webb, in tie-down roping. Comes out, first run we've seen clocked under 7 seconds.
Yeah, 6'9", and Webb's had a record-breaking regular season. He did fantastic. He broke the single-season earnings mark. He hadn't really he'd done some stuff here, but you were waiting for that breakout moment to get his first NFR win. He's only 20 years old, and he's been a phenom forever. I mean, people have known about Riley Webb for years. He gets a huge win there and extends his lead in the tie-down roping for over 100,000 over Havid Mejid. So I like where Webb's at mentally. And if he can keep it going, who knows? He's just a phenomenal young roper that's great for the sport.
And we mentioned it last night. There for a while, Havid Mejid had started to climb up those PRCA Ram World standings, creeping towards Riley just a little bit. But that's a big win last night because he adds $30,706 and also, moves himself a little bit closer to getting a payday in the average.
Right.
It wasn't as close as he wanted to be the first couple of nights, but, that's a big win towards a world title, Trace.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, because the average pays so much, but those round wins at 30 grand, I mean, it's such a huge boost, and especially when you're trying to fend off other guys, because if you're winning money and they're winning money, you even each other out. I mean, that's the whole key, because who knows where the average is going to play out. So I was excited for Webb. He helped us do some stuff yesterday with some social media stuff.
Kid,
Awesome guy, and can't thank him enough for doing that. But yeah, Webb's, like I said, he's one of those guys that you hear about for a long time. It's kind of like Stetson when he came through the ranks. Like, we'd heard all these great things about him. Obviously, Stetson's transformed that into 7 world championships. Who knows what Webb will do by the time he calls it a career, but it's a great one to get his first career round win. Yeah,
and there's a chance after tonight we might be able to crown Stetson, make him an 8-time world champion. He may clinch the all-around. We'll let you know, keep you updated on that. Let's flip back forward to the front half of the rodeo, Tracy, and talk about bareback riding. Mason Clemens, a guy that barely got into the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. We talked to him in Sioux Falls. Two-Buck Chuck led him there. Final night, and he ends up coming in here to Las Vegas and getting a huge round win on what was a really special night. Not only the Golden Circle of Champions, but bareback riders wearing blue shirts to honor the late Trenton Montero.
Yeah, Trenton Montero passed away August 30th from injuries he'd suffered at an August 10th rodeo in Idaho. Trenton was a fantastic guy, one of the best guys I'd worked with in my time here, and unfortunately passed away from injuries. And the bareback riders made the decision to wear the blue shirts. Basically, they're starting a foundation for him based on what Mason had told me after he won last night, to fundraise the shirts to help other bareback riders moving forward with psychological, financial, different things they can help them with when, like Mason said, a cowboy sacrifices it all in the arena and loses his life. So it's great to see that. It's great that all those guys came together for a good cause. And like I said, Trenton was such a fantastic guy, so hopefully his legacy will live on through that.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and we wish him and his family the best, as we said, continuing to have our thoughts and prayers for not only the bareback riders, but his entire family. Let's get into more of our rodeo action here, Tracy. He's been to the Wrangler National Finals a ton of times. Nick Guy was the guy last night. Got the job done, 4.2 seconds, and just a veteran presence. He's always calm, and he's really eloquent about what he does, and his horse worked great last night.
Yeah, he's in his 8th trip here, so he's been here enough, and he even mentioned in the interview that his trips may be getting narrow. He may be calling a career sooner than later, but when you understand the dynamic of the NFR and you've been here enough, it really helps you. And then I know Dallas is the horsepower he's using. He said it, and all those guys say it's a game changer. When you get a great horse, 100%. It doesn't really matter your age. If you're in shape, you can do great things because there's so much relying on horsepower and obviously your hazer. It's all part of an equation, but the horsepower is the biggest thing. It's like having a Ferrari as opposed to a Yugo. Like some guys have Yugos, some guys have Ferraris, and they try to run out the Ferraris like he has with Dallas right now. So great to see Nick Guy, an older guy, but it just goes to show you, we talked about the other night, young or old, guys we've had a lot of guys win rounds here that you wouldn't have expected to win rounds, but that's why it's the NFR. That's why they play the game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And in the team roping, a couple of guys that love to have fun. They love to, win money, obviously, and they have a great personality. The winners, Coleman Proctor, Logan Medlin, two guys that I've had the chance to chat with a ton, Tracy, and, they just said, really wasn't clicking so far. You know, Coleman thought it was his fault, you know, first couple of rounds. He said, I finally get one turned, and he knew Logan was going to do his job. And they were fast last night, Trace. 3-7, just a tenth of a second off the arena record, or the round record, excuse me.
Right, and Coleman, I mean, obviously they had a great Sioux Falls. They won Sioux
did.
Falls and
They were
fantastic.
fast there, too, yeah.
And Coleman was even at the steer roping in Mulvane, because he steer ropes quite a bit, and he could possibly make it in that. But, I mean, those two kind of got together a few years back, and they've really clicked. They've done well. I know Coleman said his daughter was itching to take the limousine ride to the South Point, and I mean, you imagine the euphoria of that ride.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 30 grand. I mean, the win is 30 grand in your pocket, but then getting to celebrate with your family and friends, it's a great moment. And Coleman's one of those guys. It's like we've said a lot about team roping's really tight.
It is. It's going to be a race.
So whoever grabs it and takes off with it, I mean, the title's there for the winning for any of those guys.
Yeah, and there's not much, you know, separating maybe $40,000-$50,000 between, you know, 7th, 8th place and 1st place. So it's like one of those ones we keep an eye on, because one round win and you're right back.
You're right there at 30 grand. I mean, that's what I know we harp, but man, 30 grand, it just moves guys up. I mean, the only rodeos that pay that kind of money are like Houston.
Yeah, and you'd have to win it.
Or Calgary to win it. I mean, to have that one-day effect. So that's what makes it so great. I mean, these guys do this for a living, but the money, I mean, I know they always want it better, but in the 10 years I've been here, it's greatly increased. I mean, the rounds were like, the winning rounds were paying like $15,000 when I first got here. So, I mean, to see that money jump up, and it means a lot for families and the way they live, but it's just been a great experience for these guys, and hopefully, you know, the money goes even up and up even more in the future.
How about your boy Sage Newman last night? Put on a show for the fans here at the Thomas and Mack, won the saddle bronc riding. He's also a guy that has his eyes on a gold buckle. You know, that's shaping up to be a really good race as well between Zeke Thurston, Sage Newman, Cade Bruno. You know, there's a giant pack. Stetson Wright was in that pack, but obviously going to fall out, not competing. But that's shaping up to be a good race, and Newman threw the latest punch last night.
Yeah, and Newman's thing is he's had two remarkable regular seasons the last 2 years. He's won Houston twice, and it seems like every big rodeo that he needed to win to kind of get his season on track, he did. I mean, obviously Houston's a big step in that direction, but Sage, I mean, you like what you see in him, and you think these guys are older and they're still young guys. And the NFR, I think, and I'm not going to speak totally on his behalf, but looked like he got a little fatigued the last couple of years at the NFR. And a lot of it has to do with draw and things don't go your way. And he's always been in the mix, but now, I mean, you're right there. Now all of a sudden you win a round, you're starting to etch. I mean, we're edging into round 4, and we'll look at the draws and see what happens. But these guys, I mean, they're all great riders, but that's why there's such a narrow margin that separates these guys. It's one draw. It's one thing you do during a ride that maybe another guy doesn't do. So I'm excited for Sage. I mean, his mustache is back. He's rolling.
Stashing and bashing,
Stashing and bashing, so he's ready to go. So hopefully this is one of many more paydays for him this time.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep our eye on that saddle bronc riding race. You can check all those standings out on ProRodeo.com. We already talked about tie-down roping, so we'll move on, talk about the barrel racing. This lady's a legend in the sport. She's been to Las Vegas a ton of times, and she's still doing it. Lisa Lockhart, fastest run of the rodeo, 13:51.
Yeah, and she's been every year to the NFR from 07 till now, and she is a legend in the event. And like I said, I mean, we've had barrel racers that are up in age that keep winning. And a lot of it depends on horsepower, but from everything we're reading and hearing, they like the ground at the Thomas and Mack, which means everything to those barrel racers. So hopefully it stays fast and lightning fast for them, and hopefully, like, we haven't seen anything from Haley Kinsel yet. So,
no, that's been surprising.
And that's been somewhat surprising. So hopefully whoever the winner may be, but it seems like it's getting faster each night.
Yeah, and I mean, you think, oh, we haven't seen anything from Haley. I mean, she's still running in the 13.7.
Right.
It just shows how fast barrel racing is and how the margin of error is so small. You know, 0.2 of a second is going to determine whether you get first place or whether you get 10th place and don't make any money.
Right,
So.
and it's just a turn. It's just I mean, it's like motorsports or anything. It's just, it's reaction time. It's just simple things. But these are the best of the best.
100%.
I mean, and so when you're the best of the best, just 0.1 of a second become a big deal.
Got to try and figure it out, no doubt about that. And we've seen the best and the worst, and this is according to him, of Creek Young. He told me last night in my interview, he's like, you saw me pissed off. He got bucked off after round 2, had a great matchup there. Thought he missed out on some big money, but last night bounces back, Tracy, gets the job done, 89.5 points, and he says, you got the worst of me, you got the best of me, but a happy Creek Young looks like a guy that could, you know, compete for a world championship.
Yeah, and I mean, he even admitted that he hadn't had the NFR he wanted last year. So, and they're all opportunities, and the biggest thing is, can you seize the opportunity? That's why those guys get upset is, it's one thing to have a bad ride or not get the score you want, but when you have the bull you want
100%,
and you can't cash out, because I mean, every guy knows what the good bulls are. I mean, some
bulls,
in
Vegas, if you got world title hopes, you got to take advantage.
Yeah, especially when you get that bull. I mean, because the money, I mean, because the draw is unpredictable. So when you get your lotto tickets, so to speak, for a round, you need to cash in. You don't necessarily need to win, but you need to win money if you want to stay in the mix. Creek's a great guy. I mean, he's fantastic. He did some stuff with us, with some sponsorship stuff as well, and good guy. I mean, but it just goes to show you, like, seems like you forget about guys like Creek Young, and then all of a sudden there they are. I mean, because all these, and I know it becomes repetitive, but all these guys are just so talented just on any given night who can do what.
And that field's definitely wide open. Once again, as we said, Kai Hamilton leading the charge, perfect 3 for 3 so far. Looks like he, I guess he kind of controls his own destiny. If he was to keep riding bulls, no one could beat him. I mean, obviously, a buck-off's going to happen here or there, but he's in the driver's seat right now.
I think if he rides 6, and this is just me thinking, he rides 6, I like his chances of winning the average. Because I know Stetson rode 8 last year, but most guys, if you can ride 6, probably the worst you'd finish in the average is top 3. Because that's 60%, that's a real high percentage here. And Kai, I mean, Kai gets overshadowed by Stetson in a sense, and a lot of guys do. And Kai and Stetson are obviously like best friends, but Kai's extremely talented, very good. He's got a great personality, does his own thing, but he's an extremely talented bull rider. And it's all in front of him. I mean, you're right here on night 4. Everything's in front of you to be a world champion. Yeah,
Aussie, oi, oi, oi. We'll see what happens. Kai Hamilton in the charge in the bull riding. So you can follow along with all of this, as well as check out all of our Wrangler National Finals Rodeo coverage. That'll be on ProRodeo.com. Catch the action 5:45 Pacific time on the Cowboy Channel and the Cowboy Channel Plus app. That's going to wrap it up for another episode of the Chute Bosses. We'll see you next time.